Were you not quite ready for educating your child at home? Thrust into this a bit too quickly? Feeling overwhelmed? Not to worry, we've got you covered. Hello, I'm Samantha from Learning Success, and welcome to Educating at Home, an initiative by Learning Success to help you become the expert educator of your child. It may not feel like it, but research shows that parents can truly be the best educators. We'll be creating new videos every day to make sure that you have the knowledge you need to rock this. Make sure to watch them all, and your child is sure to get the best education possible. Today's video is from Michael Kawula. Michael is the co-founder of Help a Teen, home of Go Be the One 10-week transformational experience where high school teens find a nonprofit they are passionate about and raise awareness for that cause. Let's see what Michael has to say about educating at home.
Hi, first I want to start off by thanking Learning Success System for putting this together for parents who are new on their journey of homeschooling. My number one tip as a homeschooling parent before we jump into this is make sure that this is a fun experience for both your child and you as the parent. This shouldn't be a stressful moment for you. Learning is fun. And you really want this to be a moment in time where 20 years from now, when our children look back at this, whether they're in elementary school, middle school, or high school, that they actually have a smile on their face and say, Mom, Dad, you changed my perspective on learning. You see, fundamentally, I believe that reading, writing, and arithmetic are highly important. If your child doesn't have those skills down pat, definitely make sure that that is a part of the curriculum that you're going to work on with your child. But what I'm about to share with you are non-traditional ways of making learning fun for our children. You see, my wife and I have 3 amazing teenagers, and we gave them each the choice when they hit middle school to decide if they wanted to continue along in the education system, the public system, or if they wanted to be homeschooled. 2 of them chose to continue along, and 1, my middle daughter, her name is Amanda, is 15 years old, chose to be homeschooled. So what I'm about to share with you are things that we actually do inside of our household, but make this a fun experience. So let's dive right in with the first thing. So one thing that you could do with your child, and this could take either a day, a week, or maybe they take an entire month. That's up to you. But you as the parent, when you were your child's age, what year was that? And have your child go and really dig deep and research that year and put together something that you can both look at together. Again, it could be video format, written format, maybe it's a collage in a scrapbook. How they do it is not important. It's the ability to go and actually do research using Google, right? And they can learn who was president that year. Again, it was 1987. That my daughter would be researching. So 1987, that was Ronald Reagan. And what historically happened that year? Well, in Washington, Ronald Reagan invited Gorbachev, President Gorbachev from Russia, to the U.S. and they met in Washington. So what else happened? Well, it was Black Monday and the stock market dropped over 500 points. And what was the historical significance of that? What was the stock market at that time compared to today? What books were popular back then? What movies were the top movies? Back then it was Beverly Hills Cop came out that year, and Beverly Hills Cop 2 and Dirty Dancing. What music groups were hot back then compared to today, and are they still around today? So U2, which is still very popular today, their album Joshua Tree came out that year. What companies launched that year? Have them do the research. And are those companies still around today? And if they aren't, what happened? So back then, Aeropostale actually started and opened up as a company. And since they've opened, closed, filed for bankruptcy, and they're reopened again, right? Our children probably love that store. And that was the year that they opened their first store. Panera Bread opened their doors that year. The Disney store opened their doors that year. What sports teams were popular. Who was in the Super Bowl that year? Well, for me, I didn't know until we actually looked at it. It was the New York Giants versus the Denver Broncos. And what was interesting is actually I kind of, after seeing that, remembered sitting in the family room with my father watching that movie. So look at the companies, look at the clothing styles. My daughter is a huge fashion nut, and it's kind of part of what she wants to do in the future, which we're going to get to in a moment. But what fashion trends were hot back then? Back then, maybe you remember, it was popular to wear 2 pairs of socks and scrunch them down. And if you look online, you see a lot of pictures of people walking around with their jeans folded at the bottom and 2 pairs of socks scrunched together. Parachute pants were hot back then. And, we make fun of our kids' clothing, but our parents made fun of our clothing back then. How did we listen to music back then, right? It was the yellow Walkman. So how has music progressed? I mean, now we've got, it went from the iPod, right, to our phones. So this is an amazing opportunity for our children to really just see how technology has changed, what happened in politics, and tying it to relevancy, because now they'll remember, well, wait, my parent was 15 at this time. It was Ronald Reagan who was president. The stock market fell tremendously. Here's what was going on with the U.S. economy. Again, make this a fun experience. So that's just one idea. Let me give you another idea. Again, I had just shown you this Apple device here. Interesting thing, if your child loves their iPhone, if they have a phone, right? Or if they have an iPad, or if Apple is big in your house with devices throughout the house, have them research Steve Jobs, a fascinating individual to study. And again, this could take a day, a week, a month, however long they want. There are several different movies and documentaries out about him. What's interesting about this device that they would learn when this was actually created is that the engineer that kept developing this kept bringing it in and saying, they were done creating this. And every time that they handed it to Steve Jobs, he would say, well, is it as small as it can get? Go make it small. And the final time that the engineer came in and thought it was done, Steve Jobs got up and walked over to a fish tank and dropped it right in the fish tank. And the engineer was just sitting there puzzled looking at him. And when he looked over, bubbles started to come up. And Steve Jobs looked at him and said, well, if bubbles are coming up, there must still be air inside so it can be smaller. What a fascinating story. So what products do your children love today? And they can go in and study the founder. That can again be an entire week. And my daughter actually does that. Each week she'll pick a founder, a female, to look and study their history. It is so powerful for them to do that. And let's talk about learning, right? And so their memory. Does your child know, traditionally, most folks will stop learning reading and just continue along reading by the time they're in 2nd or 3rd grade or what have you. But how's about the process of speed reading or increasing our retention or memory, right? There are tons of different resources out there. They can watch tons of University of YouTube where they can learn a tremendous amount, right? What does your child want to be when they grow up, or what do they want to do? This is a great opportunity, maybe one day a week, to find somebody online, if you're comfortable with that, or maybe with your assistance, where they jump on a phone call with that person or a Zoom. People will do this. Don't mentor. I mentor a ton of teenagers. This is a great opportunity for them to be mentored and to ask the questions that they really are, having in the back of their mind to ensure, is that something that they want to explore in the future, right? How many students head out to college and change their major after the first semester because they learned that this wasn't really what they had hoped? And I'll give you one last thing, and that's watch Shark Tank as a family, and then dive in afterwards with some of the questions that some of the sharks ask. So Mark Cuban is always one that will push back, obviously, right, on whoever the entrepreneur is in the tank being pitching them, right? And he'll talk about their cost of goods. And does your child understand what cost of goods are? Do they understand? And back to cost of goods, actually, which is really interesting. Every kid does, lemonade stands, but do they actually understand when they sell, a lemonade at $1, what it costs to make that? And that's such a great learning experience if your child is still in elementary school and doing lemonade stands. So again, just to summarize, make learning fun. Have them study a product or an entrepreneur, somebody that they really enjoy, maybe their favorite store online, and how did that come to fruition? Look at a year and pick a year and have them dive in and really learn everything about that year or about that decade or century. Go and learn to learn faster, right? How can we speed read, right? Imagine if your child was able to spend the same amount of time reading and could cut it in half. What do they want to be when they get older or do? Have them go and start interviewing somebody once a week to ask them the questions that are on their mind. And as a family, please, please, please watch Shark Tank or The Profit, 2 great shows that you can learn so much from, but make sure that at the end we hit pause and actually ask questions about it and have conversations. That is the power of learning. That's what homeschooling can be all about. So again, I want to thank Learning Success System for this opportunity, and I wish you great success in your homeschooling journey. Have fun.
Thank you, Michael. It's true. Learning should be fun. If you enjoyed this video, please make sure to share it on social media. Use the hashtag EAH for educating at home. And remember, you've got this. The fact that you are here watching this video means you're an amazing parent. And that's a wonderful thing to be.